Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Ida Jimenez and I'm excited to be able to share a little bit more about today's Buncee Challenge for the World Space Month. So again, my name is Ida Jimenez and I work with the Buncee team. Some of us may have probably been in contact on social media, but I have the opportunity here at Buncee to be able to support different educators around the world, to be able to really help make learning fun and engaging for each and every one of our students. So for today's session, I'm really excited to just share a little bit more about this challenge and how you can participate, especially helping your students understand, a little bit more about space and what it really does for our world, our society, and how we can all benefit from it. And so with that, if you are not a Buncee user, what I'm going to do is share a little bit too about how you can actually get started with your account, what code you'll apply to be able to participate in today's session, and then how you'll actually submit for the challenge. And so with that, let me go ahead and share my screen, but let me know from the chat, where you're tuning in from, where you're from, what you teach, as well as what grade levels you teach to. And so let me go ahead and share my screen here. All right. And so you should now see my screen. So first of all, for today's session, like what I mentioned, I'm really excited because this is such a great topic for us to be able to share with our students. Space has so many implications for our kids as well as their future. So being able to push sort of those boundaries for our kids is going to be very exciting and help them understand the benefits of space. So as you know, I just want to highlight, as participants for the World Space Program, the way that you'll be able to follow up on this session and know what the challenge is for Buncee is by going onto the main site for the program. When you head to the main site, you'll hit the task area. So when you go to the task, first of all, you will go to the fifth task. So that's the Buncee task. So when we click on the fifth task, what you'll notice is that there's a Buncee embedded right here that will actually explain the challenge that we're going to talk about today. So when you scroll to this, you'll see the Buncee, but we'll cover this in more detail. But this is just for you to for future reference as we move forward from today's session. So once you hit the task button, you go to the fifth task, you scroll through this page, you'll also see the submission form that we'll also discuss in today's session as well, of how you can actually submit the challenges that you create as part of this. And so with that, let's get started. All right, so for our Buncee Space Exploration Challenge, for those of you that don't know Buncee or you're new to Buncee, Buncee is what we call a content creation tool. And that really aims to help engage our students as they try to demonstrate and visualize their learning. And so what you'll notice as part of today's challenge or for participating in the Space Exploration Challenge with Buncee is that we're going to encourage your students to get very creative as they talk about what they've learned about space. And so for today's challenge, what you'll notice is that, again, I want to just send a shout out to our school out in Malaysia for this partnership, but you'll have the opportunity to complete this challenge by November 12th. In addition to that, we are giving you a free access code so that if you want to participate in this challenge, you'll be able to enter this 30-day additional free access code. And I'll show you how to create with that. So you'll use this access code, it's My Buncee Space, and you'll be able to then access all of the premium features with your students so that you'll be able to have fun and be able to have everything that you need to participate. And so let's get started. So about the challenge, I just want to take a moment to actually read this because I think it's so important for us to realize the benefits of space. And so since the beginning of time, the wonders of space have captured our curious human minds. And so did you know that many of the technologies and innovations that we have today, like the GPS, televisions, and the internet are possible due to space exploration and the satellites that we've sent into orbit? So it's amazing. And so in large measure, the promise of our future lies in the hands of space innovations that are being researched every day. And so this month with Buncee, what we're doing is encouraging you to discover them all with us as our students. And so this is a little bit more about the challenge. The idea here is to be able to encourage our students to be able to think about just different topics that are happening in space. So as you explore this Buncee, we give a little bit more of the instructions of how to actually participate in it. And so what we're hoping for this challenge is to have your students actually respond to these three different questions on their Buncees, and then also talk a little bit more about what they've learned. Let's talk about how does space travel benefit society? How do satellites benefit society? And if you could build your own society in space, we challenge your students to actually tell us what that would look like. And so as your students start researching a little bit more about space, satellites, the different technologies that are being innovated every day, what we want to encourage our students is to create their Buncees and do so creatively on their accounts and be able to visualize what they've learned, share different graphics, talk a little bit more about the things that they've come to research or some of the new innovations that they've come across as they explore these three different questions, and then post that onto a Buncee. And so those are the three different questions that we are challenging each and every one of your students to respond to. And so what we'll do in today's session is actually show you how you actually respond to those questions and submit as part of the challenge. But keep in mind on the Buncee that I'm sharing is that you'll see there's 4 different steps that your students should keep in mind in order to submit their Buncees. So first of all, as they create their Buncees that respond to the prompts, let them create a cover page that includes their name, their school, as well as you as a teacher, what your name is and affiliation. Then 2, please encourage them to get creative. So as they respond to each of the different questions on their Buncee, we encourage you to encourage your students to be able to add different graphics, record your own video, record your own audio, talk a little bit more about what you've learned, and really just get as creative as you'd like. This is an opportunity for your students to really showcase who they are and their creativity. The third next step here is that once you actually create your Buncees, we encourage you to then share it to a Buncee board, and I'll walk through how that works. And so once they send it to the Buncee board, that will complete that third task. And the last task is, of course, to submit it onto the official competition Google form, which is what I showed on the site. And so with that, I'm excited to officially get started with actually showcasing how to actually respond to these questions. So before we go into creating our Buncees, I just want to remind you, these are the 3 different questions that we're going to respond to today on our Buncee so that you know how to model this for your kids after this session ends. So question 1 is how does space travel benefit society? Question 2 is how do satellites benefit society? And question 3 is, if you could build your own society in space, what would it look like? And so with that, let's get started with creating our Buncees. So in the beginning of this session, I had mentioned that you will be able to access a coupon code that will allow you to have all of the premium features available to you as well as to your students so that they could get started with creating on their Buncee. So what I'll do here is that you should see my account. So right now I'm logged in as a teacher on Buncee. So in order for you to apply your coupon code so that you'll be able to access the premium features, once you have logged into your Buncee account, you'll click on your icon right over here on the top right-hand side of your panel. So once you click on your icon, you'll see the billing button. It says billing, or you could press view profile and rewards. So you could press billing over here. And once you go into billing, you should see this page. So it says settings, profile, billing, rewards. So what I ask you to do is scroll down to the bottom and you should select the classroom light plan. All right. So once you select that, what you then need to do is press this button that says enter coupon code. And so once you enter the coupon code, again, I'm going to repeat it. It's my Buncee space. And what you'll notice is that it will give you the free access so that you could participate in today's challenge. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen for another moment. So again, that's my Buncee space so that you can access this as a teacher. All right. So if you have an existing account, you'll follow this process. So what I'm going to do is show you how to use this code if you are new to Buncee and never have created an account yet. All right. So my Buncee space is the coupon code you will apply. All right. So that's how you apply the coupon code as a person that already has a Buncee account. Now, the question, of course, is, if you're new to Buncee, how do you get started? So what I'm going to just do is swap my screen over here. So right now I'm on the buncee.com site. So you could type buncee.com to visit us. This is our homepage. And so what you'll do is on the top right, if you do not have an account yet, you'll press sign up. When you press sign up, you'll see that there's a button right over here that says get started for free. So you'll click on get started for free. And you'll notice that it says that you get a 30-day free trial in any case. But what we'll do here is press sign up with email or continue with Google or continue with Microsoft. So if you have an existing Google account, you could actually press this to create your account directly. Or if you have an existing Microsoft account, you can also do so. And last but not least, if you have an existing Apple account, you could just press this button and it will actually create your account automatically. So what I'll do for this example is just press sign up with email. So I'm just going to type in my name. And then I'll type in, a birthday here. And then just pick a date. You'll select your title. And then you're going to select your country. So I'm right from the United States. And then I already have an existing email account, just keep in mind. So I'm just going to type in one over here. So this is just my sample one for the sake of this session. And then I'm just going to type an email password. And all right, so I am going to now set up my account. So let me pick a school. So I'm just going to type this one. All right, so once you fill in this information, eventually you'll be able to choose if you'd like to sign up with your account. And then when you press sign up, that's how you actually create your account. So I'm of course not going to create this account since it's a sample, but that's how you actually go off to create your own Buncee account to get started as a teacher. All right, so that's how you create your account. And now going back to my existing account, now what you'll notice is that once you create that account, you'll be logged back into your dashboard. And what you'll do again is follow these same steps. So I'm just going to do it again. So once you create your account, you'll log into the dashboard. You'll press on your icon over here. You'll press on billing. And then it will take you to this page. And from here, you'll be able to select the coupon code. Enter the coupon code. And again, the coupon code is my Buncee space. All right. So now that you have the coupon code, let's get started with actually creating our Buncees with our students. So in order for us to create with our students, first we have to actually give our students some accounts. So if your students don't have accounts yet, you as a teacher, what you'll do is go to the classes tab on the top left-hand side of your account. So it's over here, I'm hovering over it. So we'll click on classes. And what we'll do is create a new class together. So we'll create a class of our students. Let's say that since this is a space month, we're going to create a science class. So you press on new class, and then let's say science class. And then you could choose to enter a subject as well as a grade. So now that I've created science class, I'll press create. And now we've created our science class. So what you'll notice is that it showed up right over here. So once we have this science class, what we'll do is create all of our student accounts so that if they want to be able to participate in this challenge with you, they'll be able to have that login information too. So I'll click on my science class that I just created. And what you'll notice is that my roster is empty right over here. So there's no students yet. So I'll just go ahead and create one student account for the sake of this session. So what you'll notice is that once you click on your class that you've created, you'll go ahead and press add students. It's the red button right over here that I'm hovering over. So once you press the add students, this little pop-up will show that will allow you to create each of your student accounts. So if you want to create them one by one, you could press create student accounts and you'll be able to type your student's information here. I'm just going to call this my sample student for the sake of this session since I won't save it. But then you'll give them a username. Oh, wow, this is taken session. So let me just make this one again. All right. So this is the sample username that I'm just creating for this session. And then I'm going to give each of my students a password. For the sake of this session, I'm just going to give them Buncee. And then what you'll notice is that you actually have to press this little plus sign so that I'll be able to give the sample student an account. And so once I add this, now this will be a username. And then of course you could add more students if you'd like so that they'll be able to log in and create. But you'll be able to create each of them. And then just be sure at the end, after you create all of the usernames and passwords, just be sure to press save. That way you'll be able to give them all of their account information. So of course I won't save this since this is just a sample for the sake of our session. Or actually I will save it. So I'll save it for the sake of this session, but you'll notice I created one student account and now I'll press save. And now I could either download the entire roster so I have it for reference as a CSV file or not. So I'll ignore this for now. And so yeah, so here is my sample student. So sample student has been created, and now I'll be able to give that student that password and that username that we had created for them, which is John Mag at Buncee for their username and password. So that being said, this is how you create your student account. So if they want to be able to participate in today's challenge, or this month's challenge rather, they'll be able to now log in along with you. So let's go ahead and start creating for our Buncee as part of the challenge. And so in order for you to create, as whether you're a student or as a teacher, what you'll do is head to your Buncee's tab. So that's located on the top left-hand side of my screen. You press on Buncee's, and then over here, you'll be able to create a new Buncee, or you could press create on the top. That's in pink over here. So what you'll do is you'll create a new Buncee for this challenge. And once you press that plus sign, what you'll notice first of all is that we have a lot of different templates available to you. So you'll be able to see this template screen. You could scroll right through to search, but we do have some space templates handy for our students as well as for you as a teacher if you'd like to get started. So if you search space right over here in this little blue rectangle, you press space, you type space, you press enter. You'll notice that there's a lot of different space activities that you can actually already build off of for your students. So you could scroll right through. And then let's say that you decide to click on some of them. So this happens to have actually the prompt that we have for you. So if you click on them, you could actually preview the template to decide if you want to move forward with this template with your students, or if you want them to create from scratch, they can do so. So you'll be able to see all of the different templates over here. But for the sake of our session today, I'll actually create my Buncee from scratch. All right, so I'm going to X this out, but this is how you find different templates if your students want to use a template to actually participate in the challenge, or you as a teacher would like to use a template. So I'm going to just X this out so we could actually create our Buncee from scratch. All right, so now that I've X'd out the templates, now we're actually located in the Buncee creation screen. And so this is where you'll actually be able to create your Buncees from scratch. You'll notice that my canvas is white, so I have the liberty to get as creative as I'd like. So first of all, first thing to note is right on the top of my screen here, you'll see a red button that says resize canvas. So you don't have to keep this size canvas that I have right now, which is in a presentation size. You can actually change your canvas to be different sizes. So if you'd like it to be presentation size, if you'd like it to be a square, a banner, or a document, or a business card size, or if you'd like to change it to a custom size, you could totally do so. So feel free to have your students get as creative as they'd like and choose the different sizes they want to create with. But for the sake of this session, I'll actually keep it to the Buncee size. So I'm going to X this one out. And so, yeah, so why don't we get started here? So what you'll notice is that now that I have my blank screen, you'll see three main buttons that tell you exactly what to do. So it's very easy to get started. So the first button is that if you want to actually go back and now access one of the existing templates that I showcased earlier, you can press this button, and this will allow you to search any of our templates that are available to you. Now in the center, let's say that you are wanting to add your background, which we'll do first. This is what button you will press. So why don't we add a background to our blank white screen here? So I'll go ahead, click this button. And what you'll notice is that there's a lot of different graphics already available to you. So you'll be able to search the library over here. And then as you search the library, you'll see different graphics. You'll be able to search the web for different images. You could change your color. If you have images from your computer that you'd like to use as your background, you can also do that. Or you could scroll through any of the different categories that we have available. So if you click right through, you'll be able to see different categories. But since we're trying to talk a little bit more about space and the benefits of it, what I'm going to do is actually show you how to search with a keyword. So what you'll notice over here where I'm hovering over is there's a white bar where we're going to type space. And so now that I've typed space, it pulls up all of the different graphics that are relevant to this search term. So it's pretty awesome. I have a lot of different visually engaging different backgrounds to pick from. So a lot of these are space. So let's go ahead and decide which background I'd like to start with. All right, so I love this one. I love how this looks. It looks like it gives us a blank area to begin with. And so I'm gonna just select it, and I'm actually gonna drag it to my screen. And so what you'll notice now is I've added a background to my screen. And so this is really cool. It looks like space. And now that we've added a background, our first task actually is to be able to give an introduction about ourselves. We have to create a cover page for our Buncee before we add the prompt. So what I'm going to do is add different items that are about me so that I could actually put as my cover page for my submission. So now you'll see, now that we've added a background, the last task for us is to actually add some media to our Buncee. So what we'll do is press this plus sign. You can also access this plus sign on the right-hand panel right over here where I'm hovering over. So in the meantime, I'm going to press this plus sign so that we could start getting creative and adding different media options to it. So now that we've selected the plus sign, you'll see all of the different media options that you have available to you to get creative as you start responding to our prompt. So what I'd like to do is I'm actually going to use our global search, which will search all of the different media options available to us. So I'm actually going to search for astronaut. All right, so there's a lot of different astronauts available for us to pick from now that we're looking for space. So I'm gonna pick one that I like, this one. So I'm gonna select my graphics that I'd like to use for my cover page. So I'm gonna just make this one a little bit bigger and move myself over here. And so what you'll notice over here is that I added an astronaut. Let's go ahead and add some other graphics as well. So now that I want to add other graphics, I'll go ahead and press the plus sign. And so once I press this plus sign on the right-hand panel, it'll open up all of the different graphics again that we have available. So now that I'm in space, I want to be able to add, let's say, like planets to be able to have some interactivity there. So I'm going to search planet. All right, cool. So now that I've searched planet, you'll see that there's different like interesting emojis. I'm going to add some, I'm going to click on a few over here to be able to add. I like how this one looks. So I'm going to go ahead and add this one. And so, yeah, so now that I selected it, I could press this button to add them to my graphics, to my canvas, or I could just drag them right in. So now I've dragged them all into my screen. I'll be able to move them around as you notice me doing. I'll be able to resize it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of media here to be able to add some interactivity to my cover page. So I'm just going to move my items around and maybe add them over here. All right, great. So I am currently in space. And what we need our students to do is actually write a little bit about themselves on their cover page as well. So I'm going to press the plus sign. I'm going to press the text box, text icon here. And when I press the text icon, I'm going to put my name. So it's Ida Jimenez. Aha, so you notice here that I've typed my name, but you can't see it. So it's actually highlighted now. So what you'll notice is that obviously I was typing in black font and the font is too dark in the background. So once you select your text, on the bottom, you'll see a panel over here that allows you to actually edit your text. So once you select your text, you'll be able to select the color. So over here, I'm going to change the color to white for the sake of this session. And at the same time, I'm also going to change the font style. So now that I've changed it to white, let's say I want to use a few different fonts to pick from. So I'm going to pick on this one. I like how this one looks. And then I could also change the size. So I'm going to go ahead, change the size of my little Buncee text here. And then now that I've done that, I'll be able to resize, to move around my text. And so what you'll need to do is have your students add their name. They should also add their teacher's name too, as well as the school that they're from. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a moment to select this text box. I'll duplicate it. And then that being said, I'll be able to edit this text box again. So let me say my teacher is Mr. Rubin. So this is the name of my teacher. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly resize this to make it a little bit smaller. And then last but not least here, what we're going to do too is also add our school that we're from. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to copy this one, select it, and then I'm going to press duplicate again. And then I'm going to change the school name. So my school is Buncee School. So yeah, so this is my cover page, but I'm going to add share one last tip with everybody here. So you'll notice that my astronaut here is a little bit transparent. So what I want to do is actually add my photo to my astronaut so that it gives a little bit of a personalized touch. So I'm going to go ahead, press the plus sign over here. And then what you'll notice is that on the media options, you'll notice that there's a green icon that says take a photo. So I'm actually going to take my own photo right now. All right, I'm going to smile for the camera. All right, so now I'm going to press next now that I've taken my photo. And then what you'll notice is that I could actually crop my photo. I'm going to make it into a circle so that I can add it to my astronaut. And so I'm going to go ahead and crop it into a little bit of a circle. And then I'm going to crop it around my face. And then I'm going to add my face here once I've finished cropping it into my little astronaut. So I'll go ahead, press save. So once I've cropped it, I'll be able to press save over here on the bottom right. And then I have my face over here, so I'm going to press upload. And so now that I have my face uploaded, I'm going to add him to my little astronaut to give it a little fun personalized touch here. And so now I am the astronaut that is exploring space and doing this research myself as a student. So it'll be a fun little added touch that your students can do. All right, let me go ahead and give this Buncee also a title here. So I added my name, my teacher's name, as well as the school I'm from. And so now I'm just going to add my title for the Buncee itself. I press the plus sign. I'm going to add the text. And then I'm going to press World Space Month again. And so what I'll do is I'm going to just quickly change the font so that it's a little visible. I'm going to change the color, as well as make it a little bit bigger so that it's visible for everyone who's going to view my Buncee once we're done submitting this, or done creating it and plan to submit it. So I'm just resizing here, moving things around. So now we're a little bit more familiar with adding text for this submission. And so now this is my Buncee. It's for World Space Month. And I'm here exploring space. Yeah, so this is the first cover page for my Buncee submission. So now that we've created our cover page, let's go ahead, get creative, and answer the 3 different questions that we had on the screen before. So I'm actually going to reopen the questions just so that everyone has it in the back of their heads as we create. So again, question 1 is, how does space travel benefit society? How do satellites benefit society? And if you could build your own society in space, what would it look like? So I'm going to respond to these 3 questions in my Buncee. So again, how does space travel benefit society? So let's get started with responding to that question. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'll actually just be answering that question. So now we've added our cover page. We've got to add more pages to our Buncee now. So what we'll do is head to the left-hand panel, and you'll see a plus sign right over here. You'll click on this plus sign, And when you click on this, you'll see the option to add a blank new page. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add a new page to be able to create with. So now we have a blank new page. Again, you'll see the same familiar buttons that we covered in the beginning where you could change the background and add your first item. So I'm going to go ahead, change my background again. I press the button. I'm now going to search for space. I'm going to search space. I'm going to look for a background that I want to create with. Let's say I want to create with something that's a little bit more empty in feeling. I think I want to use, let's use this one. This one is pretty different here. So this one has some amazing stars out in space. So why don't we go ahead and select that? So I'm going to drag it right into my canvas. Oops, sorry, select the wrong one. Let me go ahead and try this again. And so, yeah, so what you'll notice is that there's a lot of different graphics to pick from. I'm going to just add it to this page. I'm going to actually select this one now. All right, so now I've added my Buncee to my background to my Buncee. And so what you'll notice here afterwards is that I'm actually able to now add my items again. So we'll see that plus sign. And so the prompt that I'm responding to, I'm going to add the text for it just so that we're clear. I press the plus sign, I'm going to add the text for it. The prompt again is, how does space travel benefit society? Right, so it's not very visible, so I'm going to highlight my text. I'm going to make it white so it's a little more clear for our audience. And I'm going to just change the font a little so that it's a little bit bigger and more visible for our screen. And then I'm going to just make the font size a little bigger here. All right, cool. So now that we've added the text, this is the prompt that I'm actually going to respond to. And so let's think about this question, right? Our idea here is that we want to get our students to be as creative as they'd like as they start responding to these prompts. And so how does space travel benefit society? So first of all, for me, space travel has a lot of different benefits as we think about remote learning and the fact that we're home most of the time now. Space travel actually allows us to be able to have satellites in orbit that allow me to actually watch television so that I can pass the time a little as I'm home. So I'm going to talk about that as one of my benefits. So let's go ahead. I'm going to talk about how TV is one of the benefits I have for as one of the benefits of space travel. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add more planets to my screen. So I'm going to add the plus sign. I'm going to go search for different media. Let's talk about actually the fact that we have to travel to space. So I'm going to actually add a video this time. So what you'll notice over here is that I could actually add YouTube videos. So I'm going to select it. It's the red icon here. And something that's interesting to note is that we actually have a lot of science videos available to your students. So there's a lot of different educational websites or YouTube channels that we're pulling from. So you could see there's Capstone, Khan Academy, there's even NASA, National Geographic for Kids, as well as the Met. So if we go to NASA, I'm going to select the NASA channel so that we could find some awesome space resources for us to use in our Buncee as we talk about space travel and its benefits. So I'm going to search space here. Now that I've searched space in the NASA YouTube channel, I'll be able to see all these awesome educational and safe resources that I can maybe use in my Buncee itself. So this one says that I could add an action cam footage. That's awesome because we're talking about how we're exploring satellites here, right? So I'm going to go select this YouTube video. I can add it to my Buncee. So now I've added it to my Buncee. I can add this video. You'll notice that it's not interactive yet, but it will be interactive in the preview mode. So we'll go ahead, add this Buncee right over here, this YouTube video right over here, and I'll show you how that looks in the end afterwards. Next thing is that let's go ahead, continue creating to respond to this prompt, how does space travel benefit society? So I'll go back, add the plus sign. And then I'm going to this time add, let's say add some more planets. And I'm going to think a little bit creatively about this. Of course, we're in space. So I'm going to add some planets. I searched planets. I'm going to just add a little planet over here to be able to add to my screen. I'm going to drag it right in. I'm just going to design my Buncee for this demonstration right now. So I'm adding my planets. I'm moving it around. You'll notice I'll be able to rotate it and things like that. So I'm going to move it. And then I want to talk about television, like I mentioned in the beginning. So I'm actually going to add TV here. So let's search TV. All right, cool. So I see some TV animations. I'm going to add that right in. So you'll see it's very easy for you to be able to add in multimedia, search the different graphics. Again, all of them will be safe for your students to use. So you'll notice I added my little television here. Now I'm going to search for some other graphics to be able to have some folks that are actually watching TV in space with me. So I'm going to search animations. You'll notice that there's a lot of different things to pick from. I want to find an animation that might make sense. So I'm actually going to pick this little man. And so now I have this guy who's watching television with me in space. So TV is one of the benefits of space travel, at least in my head. So I'm now selecting the different items. You'll notice I'm able to click on everything. But what the last thing I want to add, just as a sample here for this submission, is I'm going to record my own video to talk a little bit more about the reflection and what I've learned about this prompt. So I'm going to add the plus sign. I'm going to actually record my own video this time. And then I'm going to record my own response. All right, so we'll give it a second here. So now I'm on the screen. You'll be able to see I'm going to press record. So I am the student. I'm about to respond to this prompt as part of it. So aside from adding that visual, I want myself to be able to really just tell you as a student why I think this is important for us in society. So I'm going to start recording. All right, and so I am responding to the prompt, how does space travel benefit society? And like I mentioned before, I love the idea of space travel because as I work from home or as I study from home, I've had a lot more time to watch TV. And because of satellites and everything that we've been able to do in space, I've been able to have these other forms of entertainment like television or my computers, the internet that I've been able to access. And so now I've recorded my video. I'm going to stop recording. And now I've been able to record it. And so I can upload it right into my screen over here. So I'm going to press upload. That's that turquoise button. And now that we are uploading it, we'll give it another moment to load. And now my response is in my Buncee. So now my students are able to, of course, share their replies. They can move it around as they'd like. And at the same time, they can also do other things. Let's say that they did a lot of research online and they found some awesome NASA or National Geographic resource as a link. And they could actually add links to their Buncee too. So let's go ahead and add some links. So let's say that it turns out that I wanted to talk a little bit more about the history of TV and how the satellites relate to it. So I select my items. I could actually add a link to it for reference as well. So they could add a link to it. And so now you'll notice that my TV actually will have a link to google.com. So we can pretend that that's actually a resource to it. So yeah, so that is how that Buncee works. So I'm going to go ahead and give my Buncee an official title on the top. And so this is how you actually create a Buncee. So you'll have a lot of creative liberty to be able to just mix and match different media, as well as record video, record your own audio. So you could give that personalized touch as you're doing that research to respond to these prompts. And so that is my first Buncee page submission, but I'm going to go add one more submission just for the sake of it. But how does space travel benefit society? So we talked a little bit about TV. One last one that I do want to highlight on a more serious note is that space travel is so important for us because if you think about it, it's what allows us to have these satellites in orbit that even allow us to think about natural disasters or to be able to monitor natural disasters so we as a society do not get affected by them. So what I might do actually on this Buncee is just respond to that, sharing that reflection as well. So again, we're going to press the plus sign. I added the page by pressing the plus sign on the top, the left-hand panel, but I'm going to go add a plus sign over here. And then this time, rather than always having it as a space background, because right now we're talking about the prompts, we're going to do a little bit differently. Now that I'm talking about the importance of natural disasters or being able to monitor natural disasters, what I want to do is visualize the impact of this. So I'm going to actually visualize, let's talk about volcanoes. So because of satellites in orbit, we're able to monitor the status of things like what's going on in the air. It could be like hurricanes, what's happening in our atmosphere and such. So because of satellites, we're able to have an overview of our land. So I'm going to do volcanoes for this. So what you'll notice is that I search volcano. There's another graphic that I can use. I'm going to add it to my graphic, my blank canvas. So I've added to my blank canvas. I can move it around. I can resize it. I'm going to just add a quick visual. So now I've added a volcano. We could get a little more creative, add some more media to it. So I'm going to press this plus sign. Let's say I'm going to search field because that will allow us to have some ground. All right, cool. So I see some awesome little graphics to create a ground. I'll select this item and then add it to my screen. And then I'm just going to reorganize my screen here to sort of design my field. So what you'll notice is that I'm just going to add duplicate this. I'm going to move things around. So you'll notice that your kids can actually get really creative. They could just design their Buncee how they'd like. I have this little ground hanging in the air, so I'm just going to reorganize everything. And so this will give your students that artistic feel. They'll be able to sort of design their ground how they'd like or their Buncee responses. I want to actually add a division here like water. So I'm just going to create a little bit of pretty visual for our place. So let's say we have some water. Let me look for some graphics. Okay, cool. So I see some water animations. We'll do this pretty quickly. I'm going to add it right in. I want to add some like water separation, like a river maybe, to have a visual of what my ground is. So I'm going to minimize this one a little. All right. So we'll do this pretty fast. I'm going to move this here. So what you'll notice is that this is a little bit of an awkward design. So what you'll notice on the right-hand side is that I can actually layer my items. So as I start designing, let's say my story or how society would look, you can actually get a little more intense with your designs. On the right-hand side, you could actually relayer them. So you'll be able to put these below, let's say, the grass. So now this one was right in front of it. I moved the layer. And so what you'll notice is that now it's a little bit hidden. So your students will start to learn little, more design-oriented sort of tips. So now you'll notice that I have my ground in the front. I'm going to bring down my ground here. And then I'm going to take down my volcano. And so, like I said earlier, the power behind satellites is the fact that it also gives us an overview of what's happening from the sky, or from space rather, so that we have a better understanding of our geography, our land, etc. So of course, nobody wants to be near a volcano too, right? So we're trying to monitor what's happening in the sky. I'm going to add some villagers and farmers to talk a little bit more about how this is affecting society. So I'm going to search farmer. I spelled farmer wrong. So now when you add farmer, you'll be able to see different graphics. I'm going to pick one to represent me as a farmer. I'm going to add it right into my screen. And of course, now we're talking a little bit again about how travel benefits society. And so we realize that this villager does not want to have a volcano shooting out in the sky, right? So that's some of the powers behind travel, space travel, is that we have that oversight. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to again add the prompt. So I'm going to go press the plus sign. I'm going to add the prompt again. How does space travel benefit society? And this is my part of my response. I decided to create a visual as a student to actually respond to this, to talk a little bit more about why space travel in an indirect sense is actually able to help us understand what's going on planet Earth. And that's really some of the power as us as an individual in society, is that it allows us to see things or understand things that we normally don't get to see with just the human eye. So how does space travel benefit society? And what I'll do is I can actually add my text response again to be able to respond to it. So I'm going to say space travel enables us to have satellites in orbit that help us monitor what is happening on planet Earth. All right, so I typed up my response. You'll notice that I have a lot of text, so I'm gonna go ahead and select all of my text, and I'm gonna just minimize my text a little bit so it's a little more visually appealing, and things like that. So yeah, so this is a very simple, rudimentary way of responding. You could get as visual as you'd like I mentioned. You can have your students record video, record audio. They can attach more resources of what they've learned in their research for it. So that being said, so let's say that I've completed my prompt. I've answered all of the different questions as part of the challenge. I've made my Buncee. Now I'm ready to submit for the competition and to be able to get graded for it. So let's go ahead and preview our Buncee, what we've created now. And so now that we've previewed the Buncee, you'll see this is my cover page again. It's part of my submission. And this is my starting responses for how does space travel benefit society. I've added my reflective video. We'll be able to play it. All right. And so you'll see the video that I recorded earlier. You'll see that YouTube video that we embedded that gives some action cam footage. So let's go ahead and play it. All right, so that last but not least, we also added the link to Google. So let's say if your student also added some research links that they had for their site, for their Buncee response, they can also click on that and you'll be able to access it. So right now, everything is done. I'm ready to submit. I've responded to the questions as part of the challenge. And what I'm gonna do now is submit it to the Buncee board. So there's two ways to submit for the challenge. The first one, of course, is we're going to submit to the Buncee board. So what I have on the side, this is found on the website. I'll cover this again, but this is the Buncee board that you will submit your Buncee to. So once you've completed the challenge and you've created your Buncee, you're going to paste it into this board. And so you'll notice over here that there's a share code for this board. It's PD38C5. You're going to copy this code. You click on it, you copy it. And what you'll do now is I'm going to take my Buncee as a sample that we just created together. I'm going to actually press share. So once I create my Buncee, I'm going to press share. And then I'm going to go to share to boards. So once we press share to boards, you'll be able to paste the board code that we just had. And then what you'll do then is then press share. And now your board is, your Buncee is shared to the Buncee board. So what we'll do is now it's shared successfully. We'll be able to view the Buncee board. So let's go ahead and do that. And now my Buncee, like you see over here, is added to the board. And now I've been able to submit my Buncee as part of this challenge in this competition. So this is the first step. Now the last step that you'll do is you'll actually fill in the Google form. So when you go to the Google form, you'll just give us a notification that you've been able to submit. So you'll add your email address, your name, your mentor's name, as well as the link to your Buncee that you've created that's part of the board. And so I'm really looking forward to what everyone creates, but let's do that quickly. So again, let's just re-summarize here. You're going to create your Buncee, of course. You log in, you use the code, you create your Buncee, then you're going to add it to this Buncee board and then submit it on the challenge as part of the form. So now that we've covered all of this, it's a lot of information. So how do you get started now? So what I'm going to do is encourage you all to go back to the main website for the World Space Month. So when we go to the main website, World Space Month, we're going to go to task. We're going to go to fifth task on the task tab. We click on fifth task and all of the information that we just covered today is also found here. So you'll see the Buncee with all of the instructions that we just covered, as well as the prompts. It will also include the link to the board for you to submit to. And then this is the form, the final Google form for you to respond to. And so with that, that is my summary of how you can participate in our Buncee challenge. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you all create. So I'll go ahead, stop sharing my screen and see if there's any other questions. We have a few questions here on the side related to, we actually have several. So let's go ahead, starting first with copying the code. So copying the code for the Buncee board is pretty simple. So give me a second. Let me go ahead. I'll reshare my screen. And and I'll give you the code for the Buncee board. So give me a second. I'll share it quickly. All right, so you should see my screen very quickly here. And what you'll notice here is that on the board itself, there's a code. It's PD38C5. That's again on the Buncee board, on the Buncee, on the World Space website. So it's PD38C5. You press it and you can copy that board. All right. So that is my summary here. I'm really looking forward to seeing what everyone creates. If you have any questions, first of all, you can re-watch this entire recording if you need any help, but you can also contact me at idac@buncee.com. And so with that, I'm really excited to see what everyone creates, and I look forward to the challenges that your students respond with. All right, take care, everyone. Feel free to contact me if anything.